It's the weekly 30-30 trading list on the ASX. We're reviewing the 30 best momentum companies over the last quarter and those that have improved the best in the last week. Gary Glover has been through both top 30 lists to find the most interesting charts, the opportunities, and to help us understand where the market is and where the leading thematics are coming from. Good morning, Gary. How are you?
Yeah, I'm pretty good, Chris.
We've got a long weekend ahead of us. We've moved this forward to Thursday rather than Friday, and we'll see what happens next week. So it'll be a busy week. But
Hopefully we'll all be having a good Friday.
Hopefully we will all be having a very good Friday. Sydney's just started bucketing down, so we'll see how that one rolls out. But looking at the quarterly list, the momentum, you found many leaders, looked at many leaders and told us and shown us where these drivers are coming from and the best returns. What's coming out to you this week in the leading momentum list?
Not so much the sort of theme there. It's probably a bit of a mixed bag sort of through there. But yeah, there's probably some good lessons through there. I mean, some of these, I guess probably the overriding sort of theme when I look at that, the quality momentum list is that like a lot of those, have hit our Launchpad and run and had some pretty good moves. And then they hit the quarterly momentum list, quite a while ago. And a lot of them have just remained here, Chris. That's probably the biggest lesson there is that, probably half of this list here have been in the list here for the last month. So they've, the same names keep popping up here and have the same strength there. So, some big moves across the board here. I mean, just look at this one here, Fendi here. I've talked about this, probably the last 3 or 4 weeks in a row. Yet the things still keep going up here. Just as it's sort of edge pullback there is just, really just showing, pretty light volume, pullbacks there. Look, the volume just dried up here. We're surging again, volume. We're tightening up again and surging on volume. Tightening up again on that, and surging on volume. Tightening up again, lighter volume, and then starting to surge again on volume here. So just hasn't, haven't seen that sort of really, sell bar sort of hit in there. So just a lesson here, these leaders can keep running here and that. And I mean, we look at, I was listening to Minervini, David Ryan there, and just, just kind of this rules-based approach as well. And if you can see there, look how, that's kind of hope the 10-day and, like the 20s, obviously, there's often times where people, if you get a bit of a break, you might sort of trail the 20, and then once it's really flying, you probably trail the 10. So, if you gave this thing the 20 initially, this is what a lot of the traders do. And once it's really flying here, then you're just sort of trailing the 10 here. You can see it's just, really been hugging the 10 all the way up here. So, Kalamagi talks about the 20 and the 10 all the time. So like the 20 being, more sort of modest, still pretty positive movers, but not stocks that are flying. Whereas the stocks that are really flying, aggressive trading, they tend to hug the 10, so this is sort of like this real bait approach here. Once you've sort of got your trigger, is to use maybe the 10 and 20 as your extra strategy there. So, I know for me, I'm pretty good at my entries, but the selling is the tough part. Try and sell some into strength initially, but then trying to stay with the rest. So it's the uncommon man picks right and sits tight. So I'm pretty good at picking right. I'm just not particularly good at sitting tight. That's my weakness there. But if I could trade some into strength, which I tend to do, that's one thing I've improved on recently. If I get a bit of a pop, that 3 to 5 day sort of aggressive move, I will take some off. There's a few times there recently I've taken some off and it's pulled back and then kept going down. And then that meant that I've taken some off at a nice full profit. And the rest I might have got knocked out at break even there. So I don't really go home a loser if that happens. But if it flies up like this, imagine if you just use the 10. Imagine if you started with a 20 and then once it's flying there, you start tightening up with a 10, you still be in this trade. So that's why some of these sort of rules-based approaches are definitely the way to go here. Even Zip as well. Here we can sort of see that this, see that it broke out of a few little consolidations here. did cross here. Obviously came back to the 50. Once it broke through the high here, really basically sort of hugged the 20 there, had one little flitter there. But again, now we're sort of flying again. It's hugging the 10 here. So it's still, even if once this thing starts getting vertical there, if you use the 10-day moving average there, it's funny. If you listen to these pros, they all say the same thing. There's some good lessons there. Even for sort of someone who's been trading as long as I have, I'm often sort of too quick to, if I get a nice move here, I do some projections. I'll often trade out of these moves, but some of these things really are flying here. And this market is pushing all sorts of boundaries here at the moment, so you just don't know how far this is going to extend here. So that's probably the biggest lesson there, Chris, is that we're getting good signals there, we're getting breakouts there. Some of these moves are really quite powerful there, and just haven't seen a lot of selling on any pullbacks there. So that's like a lot of them extended here. I thought number 7 was interesting there, just because it had that, this is the sort of that Kalamagi sort of style move there, where he looks for like a really powerful jump, and then he looks for the thing to tighten up there. So probably prefer to see this remain tighter here, but it pulled back here. It sort of come up again, not the volume comes through, pull back. Then we had a bit of a volume surge again here. Did sort of break through this little B wave, even though it's pretty choppy there. That's not a bad little sign there that it's that's sort of continuing to grow there. But probably not the ideal signal there. This was probably quite nice in here, that the fact that it did break this little B wave, did sort of consolidate here and there, and then started to break up a bit more volume there. But he's looking for that really, powerful move, maybe tighter consolidation and then go on. But you can build here as well. So sometimes they can just sort of build.
Would you see that as a change of character, that one in late February, big volume, big range?
Yeah, can do there. You'd prefer to sort of see it jump up and then consolidate there. Obviously the first one there, we saw that jump up and then just, didn't really sort of trade much down too much. So each sort of pullback has been pretty tight there. So I don't know if IMU is sort of one that's been tight, it's had that big surge here and then tightening up here the whole time. It really hasn't sort of got going here yet, but that's the sort of setup there, type of thing you look at there, because that can lead to another leg up there. I don't know what else is there. So, but just looking for that impulsive move first, and then maybe some a bit tighter price action. But this one's sort of interesting there. It's had a nice little surge there, and you can see that even though this has had a pretty strong jump here, this is again, there's just all indications are that's gone back up to retest the high here. So you're sort of getting up towards the old high. Okay, so you might see some selling come in, but look at that. It literally has like 1, 2, 3, 4 days down here. There's absolutely just no selling at all. No, it's very, very, very tight here. So we're just seeing lots of this here. Like things are running hot. Not seeing the tight moves there. I've seen a few distribution days down the Nasdaq and Dow Jones there, but like each of those 3 days down here, we're at slightly heavy volume there, but then we're just gone bang straight through there. But a lot of stocks aren't showing that. A lot of the stocks are just running up here and then cooling off on light volume. So, it's just, there's definitely a strength, some sort of strength to this market here. XAM was sort of one that I thought was interesting there, just because it has broken above a previous swing low all the way down. So that is a possible change of character. Bit of volume in there. Again, we sort of had a bit of a run here. Pullback here so far. Not a lot of selling going on here so far. This is sort of why I just said put on my list there, just to sort of keep an eye on that. It looks kind of interesting. PAA. Again, I saw this one here. I was sort of warned of there because I thought that was a pretty big price start printing volume, but there was a bit of heavy selling in there. That's a bit negative there. But since then, the whole thing is sort of tightening up here. So I'm still watching this one here, just because now the volume has sort of started to dry up here. But not my favourite chart there, but just keeping an eye on that one. GX. Be excited. I've written over the code here actually. It's a DXB, sorry.
DXB sounds right.
Yeah, so this one's it's a number 26 at Americs there. So look, I guess you are seeing that sort of, BCP set up here. So it's a nice BCP in here. So again, there's that, big jump out of the box. Consolidation back here. So sort of a bit of volume in there, the first leg. Then it rallied up here, pulled back a lot of volume, had a bit of a bounce here, pulled back here again. And really this first day up here, that was, that was a better sign there because it actually had a bit of volume and then pushed through. So look, you can see some heavy selling there nearly because obviously there's some big gains there. Some people take money up. But then what you're trying to do is watch for sort of the selling to dry up here towards the end here. So some of those ones that have had that big move and the big VCP big tightening up there, they can go again. But I think what you want to see is a bit of a break and some stronger volume there as well, Chris. So you want to sort of break a bit of a B wave, break a bit of a swing high, and you want to do it with a bit of volume there. That's really what you want to see. You still see, sometimes you see them pop up here, but no volume comes in. They can sort of tend to break here. But the ones that actually do break out with a bit of volume, but even sort of something like, I think I saw, not that it's a good example here, but we saw Ansel there. It's had that, ABC come back here, just lower high in there. So a bit of a VCP in there, but then made a lower high here. And as soon as it actually breaks above this high, this little B wave there takes off here. So whether you use the previous high or even this little high here, once we sort of, what you can see, once we break that little swing high, that's when the things take off it. So, that on the weekly there, this looks like a consolidation. And this looks like it's ready to sort of go here. And there's some pretty good volume in the first leg up. So, just a bit of a popular theme here across the market there. EML was number 28 there. I mean, geez, this is sort of strong as well, Chris, here. I mean, we've...
You're looking at that one last week as well.
Yeah, gone back to retest the high here. And so there's our sort of, so again, it's had a pretty good run here. Some good volume surging here. Drying up with the pullbacks. No selling in there. No selling through here on the pullback. So although it's had a good little jump here, no selling here, and then the volume comes straight in again. So you get a little VCP in here, nice little VCP, nice little breakout here. We saw that we basically, once we broke out, we did break out a bit of heavy volume there. Just didn't push through straight away, but then the volume was quite good on this day here. We definitely got a clear break here, what was that, sort of around 103, 102. So even if you're sort of seeing that late here, that has a pretty good signal there coming through that consolidation there. Then we're sort of kicked on here. So we've now gone back to retest the high. And then you have a couple of days up here, 2 or 3 days down here. Again, we're just not seeing it selling. So even though we've run really hot, we're sitting under the highs there, just not seeing any selling sort of come in here. And then, we have 2 days down here, no volume, and then we just pop straight up to new high there. So that's looking pretty good there as well there. I think the other one actually that I saw, not Donovan. NX one. Box. Yes, this is like Nuix as well. That's sort of, that's sort of gone, had a bit of a consolidation through here, like a bit of a VCP in here. Corrections got smaller and smaller. Did sort of break up. Had a few little throwbacks, but then sort of did keep going here. Did tighten up again here and then go. That has had a deeper pullback. But now we've sort of got another VCP setting up, Chris, sort of bit of a VCP in here. And then a little bit of a, this is essentially a cup and handle as well. It's a pretty tight handle there. Pretty good volume all the way up into the high. Pretty light, no selling coming in here. Then we saw a bit more buying coming in, and now we're doing that little David Ryan thing there where we're consolidating under the high there as well. So, seen a lot of this pattern here recently where we're sort of going up to the high, and then spending 4 or 5 days on its side and then popping through. So, you do tend to find here when these things do break through, you can get a bit of chop. Like we do tend to get that, a little bit of a throwback sort of come in there. But this is pretty interesting here. This Nuix is, it's had a pretty interesting start here. This is what I'm pretty sure this is came out of Macquarie there, got overpriced there, and then had a few issues, and then Hayes sort of started to get things moving in the right direction. Yes, it's definitely interesting stock to keep an eye on here, but that's a pretty interesting technical pattern. So you're just seeing lots of those there. That's probably the quarterly there. It's just some of these moves there. I guess they're running a lot sort of further than you think, and we're not seeing too much selling from some of those letters as well. So if they're running hot, and then the selling doesn't come in, that usually means they're going to keep running. So we basically, before we exit there, we want to be looking at those 10 and 20 day moving averages. We want to be looking at volume as well.
Okay, so they're the good components to look at, especially when we've got leading momentum companies and how to decipher their strength. Once you've moved from those quarterly momentum leaders, you're looking at the ones that have had the best improvement in the week, what we call the Launchpad. And mentioned before, quite often these momentum leaders that you've just looked at, they've shown up in the Launchpad first, and then they move to the momentum. They can stay there for weeks or months. When you're looking at this week's Launchpad, are there any themes that come out of that one, or is it a mixed bag like the momentum was this week?
Yeah, seeing not so much sort of sector based. Obviously, we had some uranium names there last week, maybe a couple of gold names in there, even a couple of healthcare names as well, sort of popping in there. So probably, a few different sectors there rather than one or two overriding there. Seeing lots of VCPs with list crifts as well. So some really sort of strong VCP patterns in there. Just some textbook moves here really. So deep yellow has been pretty, obviously, like a lot. We talked about the uranium last week. There's some pretty strong moves there. Saw some good volume bounces there. So, you can see here, deep yellow has had a pretty strong move up here so far. Had a bit of a pullback here, but the volume's pretty light here. Might be a little inverse head and shoulders here, but even though it's under the 50, that's a pretty good volume there. So we're watching those, I think Bannerman been pretty robust there. As I think I sort of said to you last week, normally when I see it move like that, like a release, or some of these leading themes, they can just go straight back up. I've seen this before. They just go straight back up to a new high, and it's almost relentless sort of. They don't tend to like it. And you see these stocks, and you're waiting for like a little bit of a pause or a consolidation. It doesn't come. It just has that release, and then just goes straight back up again. I've said it over and over again here, where these leading themes will just have a bit of a release, and then they bounce straight back up again. So I think Bannerman.
Is that what we call the basketball underwater?
Yeah, I guess so, a little bit of that. So, but yeah, it's been pretty robust here so far. So, pretty strong. I think CKA was number 7 there. Focal Limited there. I think I did see, what was the other one? Silex was the other one on the list there. Is in that sort of sector as well. So possible VCP and Hickory sort of pull back, getting smaller here each time. So probably just going to watch this one here. But again, we're still seeing some good volume there. Not too much sort of selling coming here so far. So again, it's another sector there. We're not sort of seeing too much selling any of the pullbacks there. Paladin there was that just the stocks aren't really sort of showing too much weakness there, a pullback there, or quite light selling there. And so we mentioned Bannerman there. It was on the list there, number 11 as well. So look how robust that is. Pretty strong. The other one on the list there, SVR, was actually surprised to see this on the list. It's actually covered this one on my weekly there, just because it had gone to a new low, like on the daily and the weekly low as well. We saw a bit of volume out of the low as well. So, just definitely going to watch this one here. So let's see what happens here on the pullback there, just because it's sort of, has come back in there. Look, isn't that automotive finance there? So you'd think it should have been doing quite well in this market. So it's definitely not a leader. Price action is pretty interesting. TUA was number 13 on the list there. So geez, this is I'm talking about textbook sort of stuff here. So there's that cup and handle there. That's run up here pretty hot there. That sort of move doesn't really put this in context. That had a pretty big move up to that point there. you're watching that trend there for the last 2 years there, that was a pretty strong move. That's a big move. You're talking about a move from $1.20 up into $2.20 there. So the stock's almost up 100%. And then it goes through a consolidation. So most people look at this, go, oh, it's up too far. And then it consolidates there, and the whole thing just tightened up in there. Then once it broke through this consolidation there, and there was some volume there as well, just kept going. So, really had some, pretty robust moves in there. And again, this is the whole thing, is that once we sort of break through, you can see here that talking about that, 10 and 20 days. So the 20-day moving average sort of held through there. And then, this thing was actually really strong. It didn't even break the 10-day moving average. And as soon as the 10-day broke, that's when you should have been out. And then, then you're sort of sitting back here, you're watching for another BCP set up here. Then we get a little B wave break here, you come back in again. It's literally coming, you've basically avoided 2 months of chop and negativity. You probably come back in at the same point, but then you're catching the upward move again. So rather than sit 2 months in the stock, what you go nowhere or even go against you, you get stopped out, on the 10 here. And then you come back in again at the same spot 2 months later, and then you're catching upside gains again. Look, you might have got a bit of a throwback in here, depending on where your stop might have been. But it has continued to go higher. Can get trickier as it goes higher. Then it probably gets a bit more volatile. But it's definitely some good lessons in there, really. PEN, Peninsula, this is sort of one there's a bit of volume down here. That's probably the only thing that I sort of saw sort of interesting. A1M, this is a stock a lot of people are talking about. That does make me nervous when everyone's talking about it. So it did have a bit of a pop here, some pretty good volume through there. Has it a pullback? For me, it's just a bit on the radar. That's a bit small, but it is the stock a lot of eyes are on. So I will keep an eye on it. NXG, just follow this one here, just because this next gen energy there, it's had a pretty strong run, Chris. So it looks, looks a lot of tooth there, but we've had a pullback here and then bounced again and then pull back here again. So not exactly a lot of selling going on in here. Had a bit of a bounce again, some pretty good volume there. The last couple of days, we're not too much selling there as well. So might see another VCP in here set up here. So probably just got to watch this one. Definitely that's probably the biggest correction of the move so far. So that's the only negative I do see, that's potential overbalance. But it's definitely one to keep an eye on there. And might be sort of setting up again. Seen a few healthcare names sort of set up there. So definitely had a little BCP in here, Chris. So, had a pullback here, a little AVO, B wave, and then another tighten up here. And then we started to break through here. So even sort of coming in late here, so whether you're looking at these lower highs here or not, that's pretty firm. It's actually had a nice sort of break up there. And lots of that sector moving as well. So even things like Ramsey sort of are moving up here. And the whole thing just sat on top of the previous high there. Gone there as well. So, I think ACL as well sort of been, even at Helios, Helios has actually got a little bit of a VCP. It's still under the 15 moving average. That's a bit negative. So definitely one of the weaker stocks there. But just that sector is definitely showing a bit of life there. What have we got there? Baby Bunting. Again, there's that sort of correction there as well. So bit of a B wave break in here. But this again, the retail sector's been pretty buoyant as well. So premium investments have a bit of a gap up here. I mean, some of these retail stocks have just run pretty hot here. So just some pretty amazing moves in the market there overall. PL8, just got this one just to keep an eye on here, just the whole thing's sort of tightening up in here at the moment in that sort of sector. Not the strongest uranium stock there, but the rest of the sector does catch a light there. Be worth watching there. Might have a little VCP in there. Definitely didn't see 3 days down here, and it wasn't exactly heavy selling going on there. So wanted to keep an eye on. Well, I thought JMS was pretty interesting as well. This is cheaper to mine. So even though it's a pretty small stock here, that's big volume, Chris. When you see that big volume there, never want to sort of see it go through a consolidation sort of it. So just wanted to put on the radar there. But it's some amazing moves here. Really, just goes to show there's sort of stocks that are running here, following through. You just can keep going a bit higher there. So for me, I sort of I often sort of do projections. I do price sort of targets and stuff like that. So I usually have a 3-for-1 at least risk reward. Oftentimes they might be sort of sitting around the 4, to 5-to-1 risk reward in terms of where my target is, and that's the way I'm sort of bound here. But I am starting to sort of wonder, particularly there's sort of momentum based stocks here where maybe looking at the 10 and the 20 day, so maybe trade some into strength, stop to break even, and then maybe start trailing the 10 and 20 days. So start with the 20 and then maybe move towards the 10 there. If the stock's really showing super strength, really takes off, maybe just, once we start getting elevated, maybe use that 10 there and just keep trailing it with 10. So that's one thing that I sort of, particularly this bull market here at the moment is exposing there that definitely pushing a little bit further than you think for a lot of stocks.
Well, that's a good bit of a reflection of how to adjust your own strategy that you're consistently reviewing and looking back and taking the time to review your trades and assess how you can tweak the model. As you've been looking through the week, we know that you're a good student of history, both of market leaders and the best trading or the trading greats of the past and the present. As you've worked through whatever collateral this week, is there any gem that you'd like to share with us that you've thought about and thought, well, actually, that's quite something very useful that I can use myself and I can share?
Oh, look, I was actually watching Minervini, David Ryan there yesterday there, and I did actually write down some of their rules and stuff there. There's quite an old video there, so sort of going through some of their old rules there. I think kind of one of their rules there was sort of protect your break-even point as soon as possible. So they were sort of saying, once you sort of got a 2 to 3 times sort of risk above your gain, so just say your stop is, say, 1 unit, you got, say, 2 units of profit or maybe 3 units of profit, is that you should be sort of selling some into that, other, 2 times or 3 times. You should never let a good sized gain turn into a loss. So that's you want to backstop your profits. What that means is you want to sort of, so what Minervini and Ryan will try and do is they might sell, say, 25% into that strength. So whether that's 2 times or 3 times their risk, and then they'll basically get their stop to break even there. And then it's really about managing, from there. One interesting sort of comment they made actually, which is, this is probably good for, for those sort of starting out sort of trading, and it's, there's 3 types of traders there. There's the traders that don't have rules, and there's the second type of trader who have rules but occasionally break them. And then there's the third set of rules, which is the third set of traders is the one who has rules and they're continually improving and fine tuning them. And unfortunately, only the third type of trader is one that makes money. So if you don't have any rules to your trading there, more than likely it's going to end badly. If you do have rules, but you occasionally sort of break them or go against them, that's, unfortunately, that's going to go against you as well over time there. So we really basically need to have a pretty tight rules-based approach. Don't break them, just improve them, fine-tune them. And I guess the second thing there is it sort of this just keeps hitting home for me. Is it just focus on one setup there, become very good at one thing, and that's the fun. This is going back. This might have been 2015. So this is 9 years ago. I was listening to these guys. So if you know Minervini is just trading the VCPs. I think Ryan trades the VCPs and those couple of handles there. So they don't trade too many different setups. but they're quite specialized there, and they really just focus on one setup there. So regardless of whatever you want to do, you have to study yourself on your setup there. You have to fine tune your setup. You have to sort of, conduct that post analysis. So basically analyze all the trades there. But I've been sort of fine tuning my setups into like 2 or 3 setups there now. But I think by the new financial year here, I think I'm going to have 2 setups. I'm going to have 1 setup for one account and 1 setup for another account, and that's it. Just going to fine tune those 2 setups there, and then So what that means, you really basically have to you have to sort of get out of your own way. So having a lot of trading knowledge and seeing a lot of setups there, and you suddenly see something that you like, that looks really good, but you can't trade it because it doesn't fit your setup. That's the point where you've actually, I think that's the point where maybe you've reached, sort of that expert level, that master 10,000 hours there. It's the point where you can sort of say, no, I'm not going to do that. It's sort of like, that's the what was it? It was a Steve Jobs line around focus there. So
what are you focusing on?
Everything your gut's saying this is a winner, but you don't do it because you're focused on something else. That's the point where you've reached sort of that expert. Sort of there. I'm not quite there yet. I still have this propensity to want to see an awesome looking trade there and want to trade it. And I get away from my sort of my 2 or 3 setups. So by the next financial year, my goal is to just have 2 setups there. Yeah. It's funny. One of my accounts, Chris, the last 3 months, I've only taken the 1 setup only, and that account's doing quite well. So, and it's a really, the thing is, actually takes the stress out of that account too. Actually, out of the trading too, because I'm only looking for that setup. If I can't see it, I don't take trades. So, and if I do take them, it's got a pretty strict set of rules around it too. So it just kind of keeps me. Whereas if you're sort of taking 2 or 3 different types of setups, they might all slightly different rules as well. And different ways of sort of trading them. So you really become an expert in that one setup, how to trade it, how to fine tune it, how to run your stops there, study it, back test it. Don't know. That's my goal for next year is to really just run those 2 setups on 2 accounts and just and have them independent, and then master those setups there. That's my goal for next year.
It sounds like a pretty easy goal, but obviously it's hard to stick to, as you implied with Minervini conversations. 3 different types of traders: those with rules that they occasionally break, and those with rules that they stick to, but refine. And clearly that is a long path to professionalizing that whole process. And we really appreciate you sharing with us your insights, your reflections, and the lessons that you have along the way, as well as all of the research and the trading that you're doing. So to that point, I think we'll say thank you very much, Gary Glover from Novus Capital.
Thanks, Chris.
So Gary's mentioned a whole lot of trades that he does. Ignore me on the Tuesday report. There's a playlist on the right. Setups, mentioned an account that he set up with just one of them. And you'll probably find a video in the right-hand side there as well for that setup, even though he hasn't mentioned it. And on the left is his Twitter or his X handle if you want to follow Gary there.